In this part of the video, I'd like to talk to you about buyers' closing costs. Now, closing costs are what the banks, escrow companies, title companies, lenders, home inspection companies charge to do their work in terms of part of the transaction. Has nothing to do with down payment. Your down payment always remains the same. However, an escrow company or a title company, all these other people who are involved in the transaction don't work for free, so they charge what's called closing costs. Now, there are other fees. Well, they're not really fees, but there's other things you'll pay for that, for example, taxes. You may pay taxes in advance for when the property tax becomes due. However, that's not a cost. Okay, that's something that you're going to pay regardless. So let's talk about this for a little while. Within your escrow company, they usually charge a base of $500 and anywhere from $1 to $2 per every $1,000. So if you have a transaction where it's $100,000, then your base is $500 plus $100 because it's $1 per thousand. So your escrow fees are going to be $600. Title companies figure fees the same way. There's an ALTA policy and there's a CLTA policy. One is paid for by the seller, which is usually 2 to 3 times the amount of that of the buyer. One's paid for by the buyer. Title insurance is there to ensure you that you don't have anything recorded against the property when you close escrow other than the amount of the first trustee that you record against the property with the bank. So if you get a sales price of $100,000, let's pretend that you got a 100% loan. You're gonna record $100,000 against the property, and you don't want anything else because anything else is not good. In the event something else pops up that the title company did not pick up when they did their research to make sure there was nothing, that's what they're there for. There's 4 different types of insurances. We've spoken about one, which is title insurance. There's also PMI insurance, and there's also a home warranty insurance, and then there's fire and liability insurance. Let's talk about PMI. Anytime you finance more than 80% of the sales price, a company comes in and insures anything over that 80%. You bought a $100,000 property, nothing down, okay, 80% of $100,000 is $80,000. The PMI insurance company is going to insure the $20,000, and it's to protect the bank. Okay, in the event you don't make the payments and you lose the property, this insurance company will cover up to $20,000. Okay, because that's the 20%, 20/80. Okay, and then the other insurance was the home warranty insurance. Historically, that's something that's been paid or provided for by the seller, and it usually runs anywhere from $240 to $400 depending on what you want or the amount of items that are covered in that. That covers, the basic covers plumbing, heating, and electrical, all within the foundation of the house. Okay. Also, you get to have them come out and do a clean out of the main line to the house once a year. The insurance is good for the year. You can renew it at the end of the year. If the seller doesn't want to pay for it, you have the option to buy it. So there's a lot of different ways you can use that. And then last but not least is fire and liability insurance. This protects you in the event that the house burns down, and if you don't have fire and liability insurance, you know who's going to pay that? It's going to be you. And you don't want to have to make payments on a house that doesn't exist, that's just a pile of ashes. Also, if a bank is lending on the property, they're not going to close escrow unless you have it. Or if someone falls down and they get hurt and they want to sue you, that's what the liability part is on that insurance. Then you have lender fees, such as a point is 1% of the sales price, or the loan amount I should say. Loan amount's $100,000, 1 point, $1,000. 0 points, $0. 3 points, the maximum they can charge, $3,000. And then you have, of course, your home inspection fee. And that's something, there again, You may want to do a home inspection, you may not. If the house is 6 months old and no one's ever lived in it, and when you've seen it, everything's new, you probably have warranties on the products that are in the house, like a washer, dryer, stove, refrigerator, things of that nature. You know, they're brand new. So you may not want to do it. But if you walk into a house that's 60 years old and there's a lot of things that are questionable to you, you want to do that to make sure that, double sure, your dream isn't going to turn into a nightmare. One quick way of getting a guesstimation of what the total closing costs will be without going into all the fine details, because some will apply, some won't, and they're all different. You know, you go to one lender, they may have so many costs, might be $500, and next lender might be $200, and next one might be $1,000. But one surefire way, so this way you know you're in the ballpark, is you take 3% of the sales price, and that's your closing costs. And that's a good ballpark way of figuring your closing costs without getting into all the little fine details.